The silver ship moved through space like a gentle breeze. Dr. Zephyrian adjusted his delicate blue fingers on the control panel and smiled. His large eyes, perfectly adapted for the soft light of his homeworld, looked at the blue and green planets spinning below them. "Another primitive world," he said to his team. "This will be easy." The other aliens in the ship nodded. They came from different worlds, but all their planets were safe and comfortable. No dangerous weather. No wild animals that could hurt them. No poisonous plants or deadly radiation from their suns. Their worlds were perfect gardens where nothing could harm them. Dr. Zephyrian had done this many times before. The Galactic Council always sent him to find new worlds with primitive people. Then they would offer these people a better life on safer planets. It was simple and it always worked. "Look at this data," said Lieutenant Korvash, his green skin gleaming under the ship's lights. "The creatures down there live right on the planet's surface. No protective domes, no underground cities. They just live out in the open." "How do they survive?" asked Dr. Thin, her soft purple fur trembling with worry. "The gravity readings show it's 10 times stronger than our world's. The temperature changes every day. The air has dangerous levels of oxygen. The water falls from the sky." Dr. Zephyrian waved his hand gently. "They are just primitive, my dear Thin. They don't know any better. That's why we're here to help them." The team spent several days watching Earth. They recorded everything they saw. Humans walking around in the open air. Humans swimming in vast bodies of water that had no protective barriers. Humans climbing tall mountains where the air was thin and dangerous. Humans living with four-legged creatures that had sharp teeth. "Sir," said the ship's computer in a calm voice, "the creatures appear to keep predatory animals in their living spaces." Dr. Zephyrian looked at the screen. A human was petting a large furry animal with sharp fangs. "Fascinating," he said. "They must not understand that those animals could kill them. We must save them from their own ignorance." The aliens prepared their standard first contact package. They had done this hundreds of times with other primitive species. First, they would show their peaceful intentions. Then they would demonstrate their superior technology. Finally, they would offer the gift of relocation to safe, civilized worlds. "Begin the communication protocol," Dr. Zephyrian ordered. The message was transmitted to Earth in multiple languages. It was simple and kind. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come in peace. We wish to help you escape your dangerous world and live in safety among the stars." The response came faster than expected. Instead of fear or worship, the humans sent back questions. Many questions. "Who are you? Where do you come from? How many species are in your alliance? What happened to the other species you helped? Can we speak to them?" Dr. Zephyrian was confused. Most primitive species either ran away in terror or fell to their knees in worship when they saw advanced technology. These humans just wanted to talk. "They're curious," said Lieutenant Korvash. "That's unusual." More messages came from Earth. Different groups of humans all asking different questions. They wanted to know about Galactic Council laws. They wanted to see evidence of other species that had been helped. They wanted to meet with representatives from every council world. "Sir," said Dr. Thin nervously, "they're asking about our expansion policies. They want to know if the other species agreed to leave their worlds." Dr. Zephyrian felt uncomfortable. These questions were not normal. Primitive species were supposed to trust the council. They were supposed to accept help gratefully. They were supposed to want safety. "Send the standard response," he said. "Tell them we'll discuss everything when they agree to relocation." The humans' reply was immediate. "We decline relocation. Earth is our home. We're happy here." The alien team stared at their screens in shock. No species had ever refused the offer of safety. No species had ever chosen to stay on a dangerous world when offered paradise. "Computer, run a psychological analysis of the human responses," Dr. Zephyrian ordered. "Analysis complete, sir. The humans show no signs of fear regarding their environment. In fact, they appear to derive satisfaction from what we classify as dangerous activities. They also show strong territorial attachment and aggressive protective responses when their world is criticized." Dr. Zephyrian felt his blue skin grow pale. "They enjoy danger?" More data came in. Humans intentionally jumped from high places with only thin cloth to slow their fall. They went underwater without breathing equipment, holding their breath until they almost died. They climbed frozen waterfalls for fun. They ran long distances until their bodies were exhausted, then celebrated. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Thin. "No intelligent species seeks out danger." Lieutenant Korvash pointed at another screen. Sir, look at this. They have entertainment where they watch other humans fight each other. They have competitions to see who can endure the most pain. They have stories about heroes who fight monsters and save others. Dr. Zephyrian studied the data. Every piece of information made the humans seem more alien and dangerous. These creatures didn't just survive in a hostile environment. They thrived in it. They celebrated it. They made it part of their culture. Sir, we're receiving another message from Earth, the computer announced. The message appeared on their screens. We appreciate your offer, but we must respectfully decline. Earth has challenges, yes, but those challenges make us strong. They teach us to work together, to adapt, to grow. We've noticed you haven't answered our questions about the other species. We'd like to meet with some of them before we consider any further discussions. Dr. Zephyrian realized with growing alarm that these humans weren't just refusing their help. They were questioning the Council's methods. They were demanding proof. They were asking to speak to species that no longer existed as independent civilizations. What do we tell them, sir? Asked Lieutenant Korvash. Dr. Zephyrian looked at his team. For the first time in his long career of peaceful expansion, he didn't know what to say. The humans weren't behaving like any species they'd encountered before. They weren't afraid of danger. They weren't grateful for safety. They weren't even impressed by superior technology. Instead, they were asking questions that the Council had never had to answer before. Prepare a message to Council headquarters, he said slowly. Tell them we have a situation. These humans are different. As the message was sent, Dr. Zephyrian continued to watch the screens showing Earth. Humans were still going about their daily lives, completely unaware that they had just done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had said no to the Galactic Council, and somehow, that simple refusal felt more threatening than any weapon the Council had ever faced. The blue and green world continued to spin below them, beautiful and terrible and completely beyond their understanding. For the first time, Dr. Zephyrian wondered if they had made a mistake coming here, but it was too late to turn back now. The Council chambers on Altair Prime were filled with nervous whispers. Representatives from 12 different species sat in their comfortable chairs, all looking worried. The air was kept at the perfect temperature, the light was soft and gentle, and the gravity was so low that everyone could float slightly if they wanted to. High Counselor Viridian, an ancient being with skin like smooth stone, read Dr. Zephyrian's report for the third time. His wise eyes evolved on a world where nothing ever changed. Couldn't understand what he was reading. These humans, he said in his calm voice, they refused our help? Yes, High Counselor. Dr. Zephyrian's voice came through the communication system. Not only did they refuse, but they asked questions. Difficult questions. Counselor Marana, whose people had been saved from their dying world 300 years ago, shifted uncomfortably. What kind of questions? They wanted to know what happened to all the species we helped. They wanted proof that relocation was voluntary. They asked to speak with representatives from our member worlds. The chamber fell silent. Those were not questions that the Council normally had to answer. For thousands of years, their method had been simple. Find a species on a dangerous world, offer them safety, relocate them to protected garden worlds, and integrate them into galactic society. Everyone was always grateful. Send the enforcement protocols, said High Counselor Viridian. Clearly, these humans don't understand the generosity of our offer. Dr. Zephyrian's voice crackled through the speakers again. Sir, I must warn you. These creatures are unlike anything we've encountered. They don't respond normally to any of our standard approaches. Nonsense, said Counselor Brevok, his yellow eyes flashing with irritation. They're primitives on a death world. Show them what real civilization looks like. Show them the beauty of our garden worlds. Surely they'll see reason. 3 days later, a massive council ship appeared in Earth's sky. It was beautiful, gleaming white and silver, shaped like a flower. The humans could see it with their bare eyes, floating peacefully above their largest cities. The broadcast began simultaneously across all of Earth's communication networks. High Counselor Viridian's kind face appeared on every screen, his voice translated into every human language. People of Earth, he said gently, we have come to offer you salvation. Your world is dangerous and harsh. You live in constant threat from your environment. Your weather, your very planet. We offer you paradise. The broadcast showed images of council worlds, perfect cities under protective domes, clean air that never changed, calm water that never moved, Gardens where every plant was safe and beautiful. Animals that were gentle and could never hurt anyone. Leave behind your world of pain and danger, High Counselor Viridian continued. Come with us to safety. We have prepared beautiful homes for you on 12 different worlds. You'll never have to worry about storms, earthquakes, predators, or disease again. The humans watched quietly. Then they did something the council had never experienced before. They started laughing. Not everyone, of course, but across the world millions of humans looked at the perfect, safe worlds and laughed. They shared the images on their networks with comments like, looks boring and, where are the mountains? And do they even have oceans? The official response came from the United Nations, but similar messages came from every nation on Earth. Thank you for your offer. We appreciate your concern for our safety. However, we choose to stay on Earth. Our world is not perfect, but it's ours. The challenges here have made us who we are. High Counselor Viridian was bewildered. He sent Dr. Zephyrian to meet with human representatives in person. The meeting took place at the United Nations building in New York. Dr. Zephyrian arrived in a small, elegant shuttle. He wore his finest robes and brought gifts of beautiful crystals that glowed with soft light. The human representatives were waiting for him. Dr. Zephyrian was surprised by how calm they seemed. Most species trembled in the presence of advanced aliens. These humans just looked curious. Welcome to Earth, Dr. Zephyrian, said Secretary General Chen. We're honored to meet you. Though we have to ask, why haven't any representatives from the other species you've helped come with you? Dr. Zephyrian felt uncomfortable again. They are busy with their new lives on their paradise worlds. They're very happy. We'd like to speak with them directly, said President Martinez. Just to hear their stories. Surely you understand our caution. There's no need for caution, Dr. Zephyrian said quickly. The Council has never made a mistake. All species are grateful for our help. The humans exchanged glances. Dr. Sarah Kim, a xenobiologist, leaned forward. Dr. Zephyrian, we've been studying your offer carefully. These paradise worlds you've shown us, they're all the same. Same temperature, same gravity, same atmosphere. What happens to the cultural differences between species when everyone lives in identical environments? Dr. Zephyrian didn't understand the question. Differences cause problems. Uniformity creates peace. But differences also create innovation, art, unique solutions to problems, said General Thompson. On Earth, our different climates and environments have given rise to thousands of different cultures, languages, and ways of thinking. That's inefficient, Dr. Zephyrian replied. One way is better than many ways. The humans looked at each other again. Dr. Kim spoke gently. We think diversity is strength, not inefficiency. The conversation continued for hours. The humans asked about council laws, about individual rights, about what happened if someone wanted to return to their home world. Dr. Zephyrian found himself unable to answer many of their questions because the situations had never come up before. Finally, President Martinez asked the question that changed everything. Dr. Zephyrian, in your thousands of years of helping species, has anyone ever said no to your offer and been allowed to stay on their home world? The silence stretched for a long time. Dr. Zephyrian realized he couldn't answer because no species had ever been given that choice. The Council's help had always been mandatory once offered. You must understand, he said carefully. We cannot allow intelligent species to suffer on dangerous worlds. It would be cruel, even if we choose to stay, asked Secretary General Chen. You can't choose suffering, Dr. Zephyrian said, confusion clear in his voice. No rational being chooses danger over safety. The humans smiled, and Dr. Zephyrian realized with growing alarm that these smiles were not friendly. They were the smiles of creatures who had just learned something important about their visitors. Dr. Zephyrian, said President Martinez quietly, we think there's been a fundamental misunderstanding. You see our world as dangerous. We see it as home. You see our challenges as suffering. We see them as opportunities to grow stronger. That's impossible, Dr. Zephyrian whispered. Is it? Asked General Thompson. Tell us, Doctor. When was the last time your species faced a real challenge? When was the last time you had to adapt, to change, to overcome something difficult? Dr. Zephyrian couldn't answer. His people hadn't faced challenges in millennia. Neither had any of the Council species. That was the point of their civilization, to eliminate all challenges. The meeting ended with a polite but firm message. Earth would remain independent. The humans thanked the Council for their concern but declined all offers of relocation or assistance. As Dr. Zephyrian flew back to his ship, He sent a message to the council. The humans have refused our help. They claim to prefer danger over safety. I recommend immediate implementation of enforcement protocols. High Counselor Viridian received the message with anger. Never in the council's history had a species been allowed to choose suffering over salvation. It went against everything they believed in. Prepare the enforcement fleet, he ordered. These humans will accept our help whether they understand it or not. Their refusal endangers the very foundation of galactic civilization. But as the fleet prepared to launch, none of the council members realized they were about to make the greatest mistake in their species' history. They were about to discover what happened when you threatened the one thing humans valued more than safety, their freedom to choose their own destiny. The Galactic Council enforcement fleet arrived at Earth like a storm cloud. 50 massive ships, each one larger than a human city, took positions around the planet. Their hulls were smooth and white, designed to look peaceful even while carrying enough power to control an entire world. Admiral Corveth, commander of the fleet, had done this operation 17 times before. It was always the same: show overwhelming force, make the planet uncomfortable, wait for the locals to surrender, then relocate everyone to safety. Simple and effective. Begin Phase 1, he ordered from his command ship. Environmental adjustment. The first wave of weapons activated. They were called comfort inhibitors, designed to make a planet's environment slightly unpleasant. The temperature would rise just enough to cause discomfort. The air would become thick and hard to breathe. The water would taste strange. Nothing truly harmful, just uncomfortable enough to make the locals want to leave. Admiral Corveth watched the readings from his comfortable command chair. Temperature increased by 5 degrees globally. Atmospheric pressure increased by 2%. Ocean salinity increased by 1%. Standard parameters achieved. He waited for the surrender signals to begin. They always came within 6 hours. 6 hours passed. Nothing. Sir, reported Lieutenant Vex, his scaled hands nervous on the controls. We're receiving transmissions from the planet's surface. Surrender requests? Admiral Corveth asked. No, sir. Weather reports. Admiral Corveth blinked his large eyes. Weather reports? Yes, sir. The humans are reporting the changes as unusually warm weather and high-pressure system. They're advising their populations to drink more water and stay in shade. This was not normal. Every other species had panicked when their environment changed. They should be terrified and begging for relief. Increase to Phase 2 parameters, Admiral Corveth ordered. The environmental controls increased their power. Temperature rose another 10 degrees. The air became thick and muggy. Electromagnetic interference disrupted their primitive electronics. Admiral Corveth waited again. Sir, more transmissions from the surface. Surrender? He asked hopefully. No, sir. They're calling it a heat wave, and they've activated something called emergency cooling centers. Also, they say the electromagnetic interference is affecting their communications, so they're switching to backup systems. Backup systems? Admiral Corveth was confused. We disrupted their main communication networks. Yes, sir. But they have older systems that don't use electronics. They're using them now. Admiral Corveth stared at the reports. These humans had backup systems for when their technology failed. What kind of species prepared for their own technology to stop working? Activate Phase 3, he ordered with growing frustration. Phase 3 included neural disruptors. Gentle waves that would make the population feel anxious and depressed. It usually caused immediate surrender requests. Hours passed. The reports from the surface grew stranger. Sir, the humans are reporting increased stress levels in their population. Finally, Admiral Corveth said with relief. Are they asking for help? No, sir. They've activated what they call mental health support networks. They're telling people to exercise more, spend time with friends, and practice something called meditation. They have treatments for neural disruption. Admiral Corveth's voice was getting higher. That's impossible. They don't seem to recognize it as an attack, sir. They think it's a natural phenomenon. Admiral Corveth stood up from his chair. These humans were not responding like any species in Council records. Every other civilization had surrendered by now, grateful to escape their increasingly uncomfortable world. Sir, Lieutenant Vex said nervously, we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's directed specifically at our fleet. Finally, put it through. The image that appeared on their screens was startling. It was a human female, middle-aged, standing outdoors in the bright sunlight and increased heat. She looked calm and confident. "This is Secretary General Chen of the United Nations," she said. "We know you're up there, and we know you're the cause of our recent weather problems. We want to talk." Admiral Corveth was shocked. "They know we're causing the environmental changes. We've been monitoring your ship since you arrived," Secretary General Chen continued. "Your energy signatures match the atmospheric disturbances. We're not angry, but we would appreciate it if you would stop trying to make our planet uncomfortable. If you want to negotiate, we're willing to talk." "They detected our comfort inhibitors," whispered Lieutenant Vex. "No species has ever detected them before." Admiral Corveth opened communications. "This is Admiral Corveth of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You will accept relocation for your own safety. Your resistance is causing unnecessary suffering." Secretary General Chen smiled, and it was not a friendly expression. "Admiral, our planet has always had challenging weather. What you're doing now is actually quite mild compared to our natural hurricanes, droughts, and heat waves. Did you really think making it slightly warmer would scare us?" "This is impossible," Admiral Corveth muttered. "Admiral," Secretary General Chen continued, "we've been studying your ships. Your technology is impressive, but we notice you're staying well outside our atmosphere. Are you having trouble with our gravity and environment?" Admiral Corveth didn't answer. The truth was that his species couldn't survive in Earth's environment for more than a few minutes. The gravity would crush their delicate bones. The thick atmosphere would poison their lungs, and the temperature variations would kill them. "We thought so," Secretary General Chen said. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop trying to make our planet uncomfortable because it's not working. Then you're going to explain exactly what you want, and we'll tell you exactly what we're willing to give you, which, by the way, is nothing." Admiral Corveth felt panic rising in his chest. No primitive species had ever spoken to the Council like this. No species had ever been so calm about environmental manipulation. No species had ever made demands. "You don't understand," he said desperately. "We're trying to save you. Your world is dangerous. You could die at any moment." "Admiral," Secretary General Chen replied, "humans die every day. We accept that. What we don't accept is being forced to leave our home by aliens who think they know what's best for us." The transmission ended. Admiral Corveth stood in his command center, surrounded by confused officers staring at a planet that refused to behave according to any of their models. The humans had not only resisted their environmental controls, they had adapted to them in real time. They had detected technologies that were supposed to be invisible. They had backup systems for everything. "Sir," Lieutenant Vex said quietly, "what are your orders?" Admiral Corveth realized with growing dread that he was facing something unprecedented. These humans weren't just refusing to be saved. They were treating the Council's advanced technology as a minor inconvenience. For the first time in his military career, Admiral Corveth didn't know what to do. "Contact Council headquarters," he said finally. "Tell them the enforcement protocols have failed. Tell them these humans are—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Different." As his message traveled through space toward the Council worlds, Admiral Corveth continued to stare at the blue and green planet below. The humans were going about their daily lives completely unimpressed by the mighty fleet orbiting their world. For the first time, Admiral Corveth wondered if the Council had made a mistake. Not just in coming to Earth, but in their fundamental understanding of what it meant to be alive. But it was too late for doubts now. The Council would respond to this failure with even greater force. Admiral Corveth just hoped that whatever came next, the Council knew what they were doing. Because for the first time in galactic history, they were facing a species that was not afraid of them. High Counselor Viridian read Admiral Corveth's report with growing disbelief. The environmental protocols had failed. The neural disruptors had failed. The humans had not only resisted every form of peaceful coercion, they had detected and adapted to technologies that should have been invisible to them. "This is unacceptable," he announced to the emergency session of the full council. "No species has ever refused our salvation. No species has ever been allowed to choose danger over safety." Counselor Mirana shifted nervously in her floating chair. "Perhaps we should reconsider, if these humans truly wish to stay on their world." "Impossible," interrupted Counselor Brevok. "If we allow one species to refuse our help, others might follow. The entire foundation of galactic civilization depends on all species accepting safety over chaos. The council chambers fell silent as the implications sank in. For thousands of years, their expansion had been based on a simple principle. All intelligent life would choose security over danger when offered the choice. If that principle was wrong, then everything they had built was questionable. Deploy the war fleet, High Counselor Viridian ordered. These humans will accept salvation, even if we must force them to see reason. 3 weeks later, the largest military force in galactic history assembled around Earth. 500 ships, each one carrying weapons designed to break the will of entire civilizations. The war fleet was the Council's ultimate argument: submit or face complete destruction. Admiral Corveth remained in command, though he had grown increasingly uneasy about the operation. His earlier encounters with humans had shown him that these creatures did not think like normal species. They did not respond to fear the way they should. "Begin the demonstration protocol," he ordered reluctantly. The war fleet's weapons charged with visible energy. Massive beams of light shot from the ships, striking uninhabited areas of Earth's surface. Mountains were leveled. Deserts were turned to glass. Ocean water boiled away in great clouds of steam. The display was meant to show overwhelming power while carefully avoiding populated areas. It was designed to terrify primitive species into immediate surrender. Admiral Corveth waited for the panic broadcasts, the desperate pleas for mercy, the unconditional surrender. Instead, he received something that chilled him to his bones: a single transmission from Earth's surface. Not from their leaders, but from someone called General Sarah Martinez, Supreme Allied Commander, Earth Defense Forces. "Unknown alien fleet," the transmission began. "This is your only warning. You have fired upon Earth soil. You have threatened human lives. You have 30 minutes to withdraw beyond our solar system, or we will consider ourselves at war." Admiral Corveth stared at the screen. "They're declaring war? Against us?" "Sir," Lieutenant Vex reported, his voice shaking, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface. They're powering up weapon systems we didn't know they had." "Impossible. They're primitives." "Sir, I don't think they are. Across Earth's surface, hidden installations came online, weapons that had been built in secret, using principles reverse-engineered from captured Council technology. Railguns capable of accelerating projectiles to incredible speeds, energy weapons powered by primitive but effective fusion reactors, missile systems that could reach orbit and beyond. But more frightening than the weapons were the humans operating them. Admiral Corveth watched in horror as he realized these creatures were not panicking. They were not afraid. They were coordinating with military precision that matched or exceeded anything in Council databases. "Sir, we're receiving thousands of transmissions from the planet's surface. Military units reporting ready status. They have forces we never detected." Admiral Corveth studied the tactical displays. Somehow, during the weeks of environmental manipulation, the humans had been preparing for war. Not just preparing equipment, but preparing their entire species. "How many military personnel do they have?" he asked. "Sir, that's the problem. They all appear to be military personnel." "What do you mean, all of them?" "Sir, our analysis suggests that every adult human on the planet has received military training. They've turned their entire species into soldiers." Admiral Corveth felt his 3 hearts skip a beat. "That's impossible. Civilized species don't militarize their entire population. These humans might not be civilized by our standards, sir." The 30-minute deadline passed. Admiral Corveth had hoped the humans were bluffing. He learned otherwise when the first wave of human weapons reached his fleet. The projectiles were primitive by Council standards, but they were fast, accurate, and there were thousands of them. Council shields designed to stop energy weapons barely slowed down solid metal traveling at enormous speed. "Shields at 60%, Lieutenant Vex reported, as their ship shuddered under impact. "Sir, their weapons are penetrating our defenses." "Return fire," Admiral Corveth ordered. "Target their weapon installations." But as the Council ships fired back, they discovered another terrifying truth about humans. Their military installations were not centralized. They were spread across the entire planet, hidden in every city, every forest, every mountain. Destroying them all would require destroying the entire planet. Worse yet, the humans were firing back faster than the Council ships could target them. Their primitive weapons were being operated by creatures who seemed to thrive in chaotic battle conditions. "Sir," Lieutenant Vex said urgently, "we're detecting human spacecraft launching from the planet's surface." Admiral Corveth looked at his screens in disbelief. Crude, brutal-looking ships were rising from Earth's atmosphere. They were ugly compared to Council vessels built like weapons instead of art. But they were fast, and there were many of them. How did they develop space combat capability so quickly? He demanded. Sir, I think they've been reverse engineering our technology since first contact, but they've been making it more aggressive. The human ships reached the orbital battle zone and immediately began attacking. Their tactics were unlike anything in Council military doctrine. Instead of elegant formation fighting, they swarmed like angry insects, attacking from all directions simultaneously. Council pilots, trained in civilized warfare with rules and protocols, found themselves facing enemies who seemed to have no rules at all. Human ships rammed damaged Council vessels rather than withdrawing. Human pilots continued fighting even when their ships were critically damaged. Sir, we're losing ships, Lieutenant Vex reported with panic in his voice. The humans are fighting like what? Admiral Corveth demanded. Like they don't care if they die, sir. They're fighting like their lives depend on victory. Admiral Corveth watched his tactical displays in growing horror. The mighty Council War fleet, which had never lost a battle in galactic history, was being driven back by a species that had been in space for less than a century. But the most terrifying realization came when he understood why the humans were so effective. Council species fought to achieve political objectives. They fought until resistance became too costly. Then they negotiated. Humans, he realized, were fighting for their home. They were fighting for their right to exist as they chose. And creatures fighting for their very existence did not follow normal rules of warfare. Sir, Lieutenant Vex whispered, orders from High Command. We're to withdraw to minimum safe distance and request reinforcements. Admiral Corveth looked one last time at the blue and green planet, where his mighty fleet had been defeated by primitives. As his ships pulled back, he saw human vessels pursuing them, still fighting, still attacking even as the Council fleet retreated. Send a message to the High Council, he said quietly. Tell them the humans cannot be defeated by conventional warfare. Tell them we have awakened something that we do not understand. As the battered war fleet limped away from Earth, Admiral Corveth realized that the Council had made the greatest mistake in their history. They had not just failed to save a primitive species, they had created their first true enemy, and that enemy was learning, adapting, and growing stronger with every passing day. The emergency session of the Galactic Council lasted 3 days. Representatives from 12 species sat in shocked silence as they read Admiral Corveth's final report. The mighty war fleet had been defeated. Not destroyed, but driven away by a species that shouldn't have been able to build spacecraft, let alone fight space battles. High Counselor Viridian stared at the tactical reports with ancient eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. In all his centuries of life, nothing like this had ever happened. They not only defeated our fleet, he said slowly, but they captured 17 of our ships. Our most advanced technology is now in their hands. Counselor Marana's soft purple fur trembled with fear. What are we going to do? If word spreads that the humans defeated us, the other species will start asking questions, finished Counselor Brevok. Questions we've never had to answer before. The reports kept coming in, each one worse than the last. Human ships had been detected beyond their solar system, exploring nearby star systems. They were reverse engineering Council technology faster than anyone thought possible. Most terrifying of all, they were making contact with other species. Sir, an aide reported nervously, we're receiving transmissions from the Kepler system. The Draconi Collective is asking for verification of our protection policies. High Counselor Viridian felt his stone-like skin grow cold. The Draconi were one of the first species the Council had saved, relocating them from their harsh mountain world to a peaceful garden planet. They had been model citizens for centuries. What exactly are they asking? They want to know if their relocation was voluntary, sir. They're asking to speak with representatives from their original homeworld. The silence in the chamber was deafening. The Draconi's homeworld had been strip-mined for resources after they left. There were no representatives to speak with. Deny the request, High Counselor Viridian ordered. Tell them it's for security reasons. But the request kept coming. Species after species began asking similar questions. They wanted to know why they couldn't return home for visits. They wanted to know what had happened to their original cultures and traditions. They wanted to know why all the Council worlds looked exactly the same. The humans had done more than defeat a war fleet. They had given the entire galaxy something the Council had never expected: doubt. "Sir," another aide reported, "we have a problem. Human ships have been detected in the Proxima system. They've made contact with the Zephyrian refugees." High Counselor Viridian closed his eyes. The Zephyrians had been relocated 50 years ago after their star began showing signs of instability. They had been grateful for rescue at the time. What are the humans telling them? "We don't know, sir. The transmissions are encrypted." "But, sir," 3 Zephyrian colonies have stopped responding to our communications. Across the galaxy, human exploration ships were making first contact with species that had been saved by the Council centuries ago. The conversations were always the same. Humans would ask simple questions. "Are you happy here? Do you miss your home? Were you given a choice?" Most species had never been asked these questions before. Many had forgotten there had ever been a choice. On the garden world of New Altair, a young Altarian named Zeph looked up at the artificial sky and wondered for the first time what her people's original world had looked like. A human trader named Captain Rodriguez had shown her pictures of mountains and storms and vast open spaces. "Your ancestors lived on a world like Earth," Captain Rodriguez had explained. "Wild and dangerous, but free." "Free?" Zeph had asked. "What does that mean?" "It means you make your own choices, even if they're difficult choices. Even if they're dangerous choices." Similar conversations were happening across dozens of worlds. Humans weren't conquering or threatening. They were just talking, asking questions, sharing stories about life on a world where every day brought new challenges and new possibilities. The effect was devastating to Council authority. "High Counselor," Viridian received the reports with growing despair. "How many worlds have requested permission to return to their original systems?" 47, sir. And counting. All denied, of course, yes, sir. "But, sir," some of them aren't accepting the denial. "The Neo-Terran colonies have declared independence. They're asking the humans for protection." The Council's perfect, peaceful galaxy was cracking like glass. Species that had lived in contentment for generations were suddenly restless, curious, angry. They wanted to know why they couldn't make their own choices. They wanted to know what freedom felt like. "Deploy the enforcement fleets to the rebellious worlds," High Counselor Viridian ordered desperately. "Sir," the aide said quietly, "the human ships are faster than ours. Every time we move to enforce control, human vessels appear to offer protection to the rebels. We can't intercept them all. Then build more ships." "Sir, the humans are disrupting our supply lines. They've convinced the mining colonies to stop shipping raw materials. They say the miners should be free to negotiate their own contracts," High Counselor Viridian realized with growing horror that the Council's entire civilization was built on a foundation that the humans had exposed as rotten. For millennia, they had maintained control through the simple principle that safety was more valuable than freedom. The humans had proven that principle wrong. "Sir," came another report, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's addressed to the entire Galactic Council." The image that appeared on their screens was Secretary General Chen, standing in the same United Nations building where Dr. Zephyrian had first tried to convince humans to leave their world. Behind her was a massive display showing dozens of star systems. "High Counselor Viridian," she said calmly, "we believe it's time for a conversation. A real conversation this time. We have nothing to discuss with primitives," High Counselor Viridian replied, though his voice lacked conviction. Secretary General Chen smiled. "Primitives who defeated your war fleet? Primitives who've liberated 47 of your member worlds in 6 months? Primitives who've exposed the lie at the heart of your entire civilization?" The council chamber erupted in angry voices, but Secretary General Chen continued speaking. "You told us we were choosing suffering over safety, but we've learned something interesting in our travels across the galaxy. Safety without choice isn't safety at all. It's just a comfortable prison. Order must be maintained," High Counselor Viridian said desperately. "Chaos leads to destruction, does it?" Secretary General Chen asked. "Because from where we stand, it looks like your order led to the destruction of thousands of unique cultures, the suppression of countless species potential, and the creation of a galaxy full of people who've forgotten how to be truly alive." The transmission continued for an hour. Secretary General Chen presented evidence of the Council's methods, testimony from liberated species, and a simple proposal. The Council could continue to exist, but only as advisors. Species would be free to choose their own paths, even if those paths were dangerous. "You're asking us to abandon everything we've built," High Counselor Viridian whispered. "No," Secretary General Chen replied. "We're asking you to remember what it means to be alive. Growth requires challenge. Strength requires adversity. Wisdom requires the freedom to make mistakes." As the transmission ended, High Counselor Viridian looked around the chamber at his fellow counselors. For the first time in centuries, he saw fear in their eyes. Not fear of death or danger, but fear of irrelevance. The humans had not conquered the galaxy. They had done something far more devastating. They had given every species in the galaxy a choice, and increasingly, those species were choosing freedom over safety, challenge over comfort, growth over stagnation. The age of the Galactic Council was ending, not with violence or revolution, but with a simple question the humans had taught the galaxy to ask: what if we chose differently? Outside the council chambers, across thousands of worlds, beings who had forgotten they ever had choices were remembering what it meant to be free. The galaxy would be more dangerous now, more chaotic, more unpredictable. It would also be more alive than it had been in millennia. And in the depths of space, human ships continued their patient work of asking questions, sharing stories, and reminding the galaxy that the greatest risk was not in facing danger, but in never having the chance to grow beyond it. The Deathworlders had indeed triggered the last thing the Council feared. A galaxy full of free beings, each one capable of choosing their own destiny, no matter how dangerous that choice might be.